right then, welcome back to the Zay's World channel. It's Zay and Chris here, and today on the report card we have for you, finally, the 2025 horror adventure film. I don't think it has enough genres for it. It feels like it has 10 genres for it. It's Ryan Coogler's newest film starring Michael B. Jordan, Sinners. So yes, it's been a week since we've watched it. We watched this in theaters. Man, what an experience to watch in theaters.
We saw it on the opening weekend.
We did see this on opening weekend. I can't remember the last time we saw a movie on opening weekend. Do. But just quick kind of like build up to it. I'm not going to lie to you, for what we're going to talk about in the review here, I wish I could take myself back to when I first heard about this movie and the trailer for it, because I remember just seeing the trailer of just Michael shooting the Tommy gun, and then him and Sammy, Preacher Boy, just standing in the water, kind of like looking scared, thinking, oh, you know, this is a cool like vampire film by Ryan Coogler. This is gonna be nice. And like, oh, I hear they're making like the Blade movie, and like, okay, like it's a little bit different. So let's just see what Ryan's doing. Ladies and gentlemen, yeah, I don't know what to tell you besides I'm gonna say it now, I'm gonna say it in the middle, I'm gonna say it at the end. You need to go see this movie. You need to go see this movie. So let's just go ahead and get into it right now. Seeking to escape their troubled past, twin brothers return to their hometown in Mississippi for a fresh start, only to find that a far more sinister force awaits their return. It doesn't matter how many trailers you watch. We really didn't know what this movie was going to be by the time we were out of the film. I don't even remember seeing. I remember seeing one trailer when we saw another movie, but I didn't watch anything else. I stayed away from stuff. All I saw was just like Haley with the blood, and she's like, "We're gonna kill every last one of you." Exactly. That's really all I'd seen, and then just some like promotional material. But going into the film, this was probably one of the more blind experiences we had. Like I said, I just thought, okay, cool, vampires, like they're gonna be fighting vampires, it's gonna be nice.
It is better to go in there blind.
I would definitely say to go in there blind. But let's go ahead and just,
a lot of spoilers, so go see it. We're telling you, go see it. Don't listen to us.
Go see it. Yeah,
first.
Absolutely. Go see it first and then come back, because there's no way we can really talk about this movie, as I say with a lot of them, without spoiling it, but this one in particular. But Chris, tell me what you thought about the plot and the storyline in particular. There's a lot here. It's very dense of a film, but from what you remember and can kind of contextualize, what did you think of this plot and storyline? It's an original story, not based on anything else. This is Ryan.
Like I said, because it reminded me of The Faculty. But that's like such an old movie. I really liked the story of it all, like the whole concept of it, and it had so many underlying like tones, like whether it came to religion or it came to obviously racial issues, whether it came to like, you know, just the horror aspect of vampires, the thrill of it, like the garlic, the not being able to come into the like house or barn, wherever they have to be invited in. I do like that it did that, because not many horror, like I said, I kind of see this, I don't really see this as a horror film, and really the only reason why I say that is just because I'm not scared of it. Like, I'm not scared of this, but it is sad because it's kind of like a true horror movie. Like, these things did happen to us. There were things that, you know, came across. I am not a big fan on movies that like talk about our people being enslaved and stuff. I don't really like watching stuff like that, but honestly, if you stick through it, because especially because they're speaking in country accents, or going back to like, you know, kind of how
1930s,
how some people, and how some people still talk even to this day. But it's such a good watch, because it has like I said, it has such good story and pacing within it, to where it's like, it's so much bigger than just one thing. There's not just one thing being discussed.
Exactly.
And so they did a lot. You know what? They did a lot and managed it very well. And made it all conducive and kind of well written and literature wise, it was like I said, it's like you took us back in time, but you also played tropes like current day and like you know, like all of that. So I really enjoyed the story of it, because like the story is kind of, you can make it to be like, oh, this film was literally about, some people go straight all into the religion part of it, some people go into the slavery part of it, some people go into like the horror part of it, like no, like how vampires are created and what they were doing.
Some people take the musical aspect of it.
Exactly. So it's like I said, he did a lot of things, and he did it very well and conducive to where it all tied together.
Yeah, I definitely say it's part horror, part adventure, part musical, part period piece. I would say that it definitely changed its tone throughout the film. I think that first half of the film was it set itself up for a truly we knew by the time halfway through the movie we were like, this is going to be an incredible film. But when it just elevated itself through the musical numbers, and then when you are essentially reminded in the beginning of the end of the third act, beginning of the end of the second act, beginning of the third, you're like, oh yeah, there's vampires in here. Like, but with everything we've watched so far, it's been a fantastic film. It's also like a sexy drama as well. Like, it really plays on those sensual desires. Like, we're not gonna lie to you, a lot of people in this film, I believe they were casted because they do capture a lot of the people's eyes in this film. Like, people do like watching these people on the film, how they interact with one another. So I think it really does get you. To me, it comes across first as a period piece. Of course, we see ourselves picking cotton in the fields. We see us being, kind of already like, of course, we have been out of slavery by this time, but not really, because it's so segregated in different parts. But it's not just black people. We also have the Asian community, who we know from their past in this time. They pretty much were also, their people were also like ones who were recruited to be picking cotton in the fields, but when they were also open and available in the community to let us in, they would support us as well. So it's not just a story of,
They wouldn't.
No, I'm saying back then. No, I'm saying like period piece wise. Like even back then, they would serve us, knowing that the white people would not be able to serve us.
No, they would serve us for money, though.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying that it comes together in this sense with their characters to be able to actually have not just all black people in the film, but instead, like, you do have the Asian community as well, trying to integrate themselves in the southern sense. But it is the 1930s of Mississippi in the South, so we already know that the racism is very strong.
I think it was good how they showed that we were picking cotton, and yeah, it wasn't like, if anyone has ever seen Roots, like where they're getting whipped the whole time, or even 12 Years a Slave where we're getting beat up the whole time. I do like how he showed that, because he didn't brutalize us as much as they did. But I do like how they showed that, because some people do have an aspect of looking at slavery as, oh, you weren't treated that bad. You had, like, they had quotas to meet, and like, then you got to do whatever you wanted with your money. But it's like, it's not as simple as that, because ultimately there were other parts of, the states that were clearly being way more affected, and like still they brutalized someone in the film as well. We just didn't see it, thank God. But it's like, there are still, I liked how he showed that, because it was like, oh yeah, we're still in these times where we still are being enslaved and we have to do these things. But you also didn't show it to where it's like the whipping, because like I know sometimes people are like, oh, that's misinterpreted, it's not really like that. But it is, it's just wasn't like that everywhere all the time.
Yeah.
So.
But it was, like I said, it builds itself on its characters really, really well. I think that this film is really centered around the characters. They bring you into a world. It's been a while since we've seen a movie, and I walk out of it and I'm like, that's a whole different world we were in. Like, it wasn't just the 1930s of the South. It was the 1930s of the South with these, with slick talking black people, business black people, ones who are just trying to make it by, ones who are, integrating their own community, and the gospel side of it. I think that we see a lot of different sides of the South. And of course, like I said, the religious aspect, it really plays a huge part in the beginning, because essentially that opening scene is, I like how it starts off.
It's loud.
But, oh, you mean like it's actually,
whenever they were doing like the flashes on his dad.
Yes, yeah, that opening sequence. But I do like that the movie, and I think that's what kind of makes the movie almost, it has those almost like early iconic moments of, well, we're already intrigued with what's going on, because what's happened, like it shows us a day later, and then we go into the day that it happened, essentially. So, yeah, like we said, Michael B. Jordan's Stack and Smoke, they come back from Chicago to Mississippi, and they're trying to make a juke joint, essentially, because we know blues music is not seen as the, this acceptable type of music in the religious community, because it has been seen as like this kind of like devilish music by the gospel community. But for them, it's a way of living. And as we see throughout the film, like music is without music, this film wouldn't work. It's so huge. It's such an integral part of it. So I really like that the story is like the huge catalyst of the story was, we want to bring people that are like us to just have a good time, you know, and that's really just all we want to do, and not feel oppressed or like broken down or hated for it. We just want to play some blues music, which essentially is caused by a lot of our trauma of the past, and be able to turn that trauma into a good time for ourselves. And the obstacles that the twins go through just to be able to have this set up is pretty much the first half of the film, and the second half is the consequences of their actions, of how they even was able to get specific alcohol down here, and you know, recruiting a team of people who go against the traditional norms to be able to make the juke joint. So like I said, we're not gonna go through the whole story because it's a lot, but just know that that's kind of like the premise of the film, and I like that we got that from the beginning. Like, these twins are on a mission to give back to their community, and I say that with air quotes because it is, at the end of the day, a business, but there's a dichotomy between the twins. One is much more, like I said, slick talking and, you know, the businessman, and the other one's more reserved, but kind of a little bit more realistic in a sense. Like, it doesn't want to be as hard on them. So I like that, because they really do feel like two different people. And we'll get to the acting performances later. But let's get into the pacing and the timing of it. This is 2 hours. I'm not going to lie to you. I've seen a lot of people say this online. This could have been like 4. This could have been 5. This could have been long. I usually don't say this in movies. This just could have been long. Well, not like it could have been long in a bad sense, but it's like, I see why people are like, wow, like, you gave us a great sense of what this world is. And I understand why people would want more of it, because it seems like such a rich, lived in world that we got a great introduction to. But I see why some people are like, you can give me more of this, because this is such a great idea that I'm like, you can play on so much of it. And so, like I said, the timing and the pacing, I thought it was done really, really well. It really took its time to bring us into the story, so that by the time Jack O'Connell and the vampires are showing up, we really do care about these characters, by what's happening to them, instead of like, I don't really care. Like, by that point, when they were actually in danger, I was like, oh my God, I feel like I've watched a series of you guys. So
we know about each of you guys.
Exactly. It felt like we were watching a finale already. So what did you think about the pacing and the timing of this, when it came to how Ryan was able to pace out the story?
I would definitely say that the pace, I think actually it was like the perfect amount of time. Like, I feel like it didn't carry on too long to where it's like, oh God, like, we hit the 2 hour mark, like, where is it? Because y'all know me in 2 hours, you know, sometimes we click, sometimes we don't. But this was actually like a perfect amount of time. It tied everything together at the end. It had a good conclusion. Everything was seen out how it was, like, how, you know, it turned out to be. But I do like how long it took, because the beginning, like I said, like with the blues and like the country talking, and like, you know, like I said, just going back to like 1930s, like I don't really like I said, the 1930s, 1950s time, things like that, because it's just like I said, it wasn't a good time for us. But I would say the timing of it was really well thought out, and it tied everyone, and it had such good character development. We saw everyone's past. Only person's past we didn't really see was Pearl's, but also it's like, I don't think we needed to, because we were just seeing her pretty much for lust. But I'm really happy at like how they tied everything together, and how well, like I said, how well it was timed. I feel like it didn't, like, it could have, of course, like, I could have still sat there and watched more, but I feel like it was like the perfect conclusion and like the perfect amount of timing. Like, I feel like there wasn't anything that I feel like they could have elaborated more on. There wasn't anything that I feel like they could have taken out. Like, I feel like all of it was paced very well, to where it's like, okay, we're getting this, it's not going on too long. You know, it's like, no, like, let's show everyone's relationship. Let's show everyone's ties to this. Let's show everyone's part in this as well. So I think it was actually like perfectly timed, because I understand why people are like, oh, I could sit here and like, but I do think they're creating like a universe out of this, aren't they?
I don't know. I mean, we haven't heard anything from Ryan in particular. I feel like, you know how the internet is. People can pretend, people can act like they know, but the only person who really knows what they want to do with the future of this film is Ryan Coogler. And shout out to Ryan for setting up a deal to where he'll have the rights of this movie to himself. Period. 25 years later, which is very, like I said, something that's normally done not normally done, but something that is done in Hollywood, but it's not like shown as much. So of course, since he is a black director, it's a bigger story, because, you know, ownership of your rights of a film is, I feel like, ownership of what you created and what is yours is also a massive theme of this movie. Because like I said, with the musical aspect, it also tells you that music is such a strong force that it can reach the past and future, and it's able to connect people. We've already known this from a lot of films and a lot, of course, with music itself, but I haven't seen it displayed as beautifully as it's been shown in a movie like this one. Like I said, the movie doesn't work without music, and it makes sense that a preacher's boy in Sammy is blessed with such an amazing gift, with such an amazing talent, that it's able to stretch across generations, stretch across different cultures, and truly be able to bring people together in a place where they really need to be. Like I said, it really is done well. Other thing with the pacing and the timing is, in my opinion, it hit the beats of everything as well as it needed to. It slowed down when it needed to. It sped up when it needed to be. Like I said, by the time Jack O'Connell was at the door with his gang and he was doing his jig, like, let us on in. Like, it hit the comedy beats, because horror and comedy, very tough to balance.
Because you don't want to make it too,
you don't want to take me completely out of it. But
weird.
It's because the characters work so well and the acting performances are so strong that you're sitting there, you are laughing with what's going on, but you're also extremely fearful. So when you do see Jack O'Connell rise in the air for the first time as a vampire, you're like, oh God, like, I'm actually scared, because it's like, how powerful is this person? Like, because we haven't spent 35 minutes talking about the history of vampires. You should kind of already know it by this point. And we give you that comedy aspect of their powers and what they're limited to. I really do like the playing on the you gotta invite them in. I really do like that slowed down the pacing of the story enough in the third act to where it didn't just seem like a immediate slasher, let's just kill everybody from the moment. Like, that kind of would have taken me out of it. I did
it
see
gave homage to the folklore of vampires.
Exactly. Strong folklore of it. Instead of just saying, here's vampires and you already kind of know how it is, so the killing's going to start. No. Let's take our time, because we really want to see how everything is and how everything plays out for itself. But like I said, pacing and timing wise is really, really great. The musical numbers also did not. They were. It does work as a musical, but it's not like a musical that's like every 3 minutes. Like, the music doesn't really start until Sammy is like told to play by Smoke by Smoke in the car to, like, play me something, like, just let me know. If I get the twins mixed up, I'm sorry, but you know what I'm talking about. Michael B. Jordan's character. Pair of Jordans, but yes. But I really do like that. Now we're going to do something a little bit different that we do with views. I just want to pick out parts that I think were powerful, that I really, really loved in the film, and just kind of have like a quick discussion of it. To say that there's like a best part in the film is tough. There are like really great parts, but I do want to highlight specifically Delta Slim's role in the film by Delroy Lindo. I still can't stop thinking about the scene of them driving with Sammy in the back car and with Michael B. Jordan characters in the car, and they're driving past the black people working, in prison, just hammering into the ground. And Slim is telling a story about a friend of his who was falsely accused of R-wording and killing someone who's white,
and took like their money,
taking their money and whatnot. And then the strong, like, and to find out this is kind of improvised, that his storytelling of it, for him to end off like feeling the pain of it, reliving it again, only to then break out into like humming of the blues, to kind of show you like where that trauma and where that emotional connection is that we feel towards some of the deeper music that we have in our community. I think it's beautiful. Like I said, the fact that it was a little bit improvised and it was almost taken out the film, it just tells you that actors really do feel their character and how it is, and like you bringing out the realness of it. So like I said, I really do. That's a scene that I think is going to stick with me forever, because a lot of music I feel is brought from that way, instead of modern day music where it can feel like it's manufactured and here's the beat and here's everything, just kind of like sing over it. You are reminded that the best music at the end of the day is brought from the most rawest emotions that you have within yourself. And I really do like, unfortunately, the blues music is so deeply rooted in our trauma of our community, and I feel like that's really where a lot of the beauty can come from. So I really do like that. Any part that specifically stuck out to you as well, but also other things that we also experienced as well that I think was really great. Switching the tone, a funnier part was when Jack O'Connell, like, actually, when we first introduced him, he like falls, he's like running from the sunlight because of course he's a vampire, and he ends up going to like the KKK member's house. And then we have the Native American community come in hunting for him. And it's so funny because they just like come up to the door and they're like, "There's a great evil in your house, ma'am. Have you seen anybody out?" And of course, they don't. Of course, they're not like us. So they they look at the Native American community is like, "Oh, like we don't want to kind of bother with you." Like, no, we haven't. And so he's like, "All right, I guess I'm trying to help." And then his buddy's like, "Hey, sun's going down. We gotta leave." And they immediately do. And we don't see them for the rest of the film, but I do like how quickly it establishes, like, hey, we tried to help you. We tried to do our best. You don't want to be helped, so good luck. We'll just kind of move on. And then that's when we kind of get the first reveal of, like I said, of Jack O'Connell. I keep calling him Jack O'Connell like that's his character in the movie. His character's name is Remick, but Jack O'Connell plays such a great... He plays Remick really well. They were revealed right then and there, like, oh yeah, there's a whole vampire, and like that's just what's gonna go on. So I really do like those parts in the film in general. Any others that kind of stuck out to you that you really liked or you enjoyed, or things that you remember in the film that really captivated your interest as you were watching it? Things that stuck out to you, because of course we'll talk about the music sequence of the past and the present, and the future in a second. But
no, you can talk about that
now. No, but yeah, like I said, probably the scene that a lot of people love the most, and like I said, haven't seen anything like this on film, when Sammy's character is given his first ever performance by Smoke and Stack to perform at the juke joint. He is performing for the very first time in front of people, in front of a large amount of people. And like everybody's like, "Oh, Preacher Boys can sing, he can sing, like show us something then." And he does start singing. And when he does, it is truly able to show the power and how powerful his music is, that is able to transcend the past and the future. And I cannot stress this enough. I don't think anyone else could have portrayed this without making it look goofy, and I'm very glad that Ryan was able to find a way. If anyone else did this, it probably would have taken you out in any other story. But to see, because remember, we're in the 1930s, so to see a whole black man with an electric guitar standing next to him, and then to see a DJ and to see people breakdancing, and of course we see women twerking. It doesn't take you out because it reminds you this is our culture through music at the end of the day. And I love how it mimics itself. Like, of course, Sammy's playing the guitar, so you have an electric guitarist, in the future being able to play it. And then of course you have like Pauline just like kind of enjoying and dance with herself and singing. So of course you were able to see another woman in the future kind of doing the same. Of course you're seeing the women in the kitchen kind of like shake, like essentially like swaying back and forth to the music. But then of course you have the future version, which would be like twerking and whatnot. And then you even have the Asian community of Grace like walking through, and then seeing the Asian dancers being able to dance as well. She's dancing with her husband, Chayton. It's beautiful stuff. You also have African history as well. Like I said, you do have like.
I don't think that's her husband. I think that's the Native American man.
Oh, my bad. I didn't mean to say Chayton. But yeah, like I said, the one Native American. I like how the cast has him, but they don't have the husband. Yeah. But yeah, my bad. But her. And
then they only have him as Stack, so he's not Smoke.
I know, right? Michael B. Jordan. Yeah, come on, Google cast. But yeah, but you know what I mean. With Grace and her husband, of course, they have the Asian culture as well as their dancers too. It really is a beautiful sequence. Like I said, it was executed so well because music is such a huge part of the film that it needed to happen, because it shows you what it all looks like. And then of course the dancing, I think it's so funny because it's like when people say the expression like we're gonna burn the house down, like, or like tear the house down, like because we're doing so well, like we're dancing so well. It's so funny to see that actually depicted. Like they're all dancing and enjoying themselves so much. Visually, they're burning the house down, and then that's the last part of the film that feels like this musical period piece. And then you get Remick and the gang outside looking at them with their evil eyes, like, cool. And like I said, it's just those are really great. Those are really great moments that I think stick out for me in general. We'll go ahead and get into the acting of it in general. Like I said, usually we have our opinions about certain actors in this world. Michael's one of them. Of course, we've seen him in a lot of films. I think we've seen most of his career, actually. From Fruitvale Station, Black Panther, and of course the Creed movies. He has always come across as a really good actor, but still, in my opinion, and both of our opinions, needing a role that shows that, we sit there on the screen and we're like, oh, he's acting like he actually is a different character on the screen. And he did it, man. He's Stack and he's Smoke in here, and he plays them so well. Like, there are scenes in here that you forget that he's actually two different people. And I think it's funny because people do make this connection of many years from now, people are going to look at him in this role and go, oh my God, are those two different people? Kind of like how they did with, who was it in The Parent Trap? Lindsay Lohan. How, like, because it took me a while to realize Lindsay Lohan did not actually have a twin from that movie when I was growing up. But that's just how good technology was then. It's even better now, to where there weren't many scenes when we were seeing them and we thought, oh, it's a little bit of like a green screen effect or whatnot or anything. I think when he was passing the cigar, maybe that was like probably the only time, but that's one of the toughest scenes that they had to film in the movie because you had to really make it look like there were two people there. But Michael did a fantastic job as both of the characters in this film. As Stack and Smoke, he really killed it and did a phenomenal job, I would say. He brings a lot of heart and character to the film, and how we see the consequences of their actions, because they are two black men who are coming from Chicago working for Al Capone and, not getting their alcohol in the most legal of means, taking some from the Irish community.
How do you know they work for Al Capone?
Because they said that in the film.
Oh.
But yeah, also, like I told you, I did the review, so I had to review and catch up on what it was. Because like I said, it's a very dense movie, so some things can be missing and whatnot. But for them to come home and for them to say that all they really know is I've seen it all out there, it's just money and power. That's really all that's out there that people are searching for. But for you to come back to your community and you are essentially bringing, we know why you're here. You do have intentions of bringing something back for the community, but it is also a business. So you realize that after just hosting the juke joint for a couple of hours, it's hey, we might not even last a few months with this. So how are we gonna, how are we gonna be able to maintain this? But of course, who sells them?
Go
ahead, tell us. Yeah, I was about to say.
No, I was about to say it's because we don't get paid the same as the other people. So it.
Oh, but I was gonna say, who sells them the actual the place as it was in the beginning.
KKK member.
Exactly. Even though he
captain or whatever.
Yeah, and even though he's lying to their faces, saying, "Oh, they're gone, they're done," even though their master plan was we're gonna sell it to them and then kill them the next day to take it from them as it is. So, like I said, very, 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 very great. I want to ask you specifically because like I said, I wasn't familiar with much of Miss Steinfeld's work. Besides being Gwen, of course, in the Spider-Verse, but how did you think Haley did in the movie as Mary? She didn't get, you said immediately, you were she didn't get as much screen time as what she's advertised as.
Yeah, I mean, she did have, you had pointed it out, but I felt like she wasn't in it that much, but I was she was in it for about 45 minutes, but I know she was probably to get people in, but I've seen Haley because I've actually only seen Edge of 17 because I thought she was the one in, I think it's called Booksmart. Ladies, you'll know, but I liked Edge of 17 a lot, but I think she did really good. She wasn't Edge of 17 is a teenage little girl, and this one she's a grown woman. So I think
grown and freaky. It's
freaked out.
Freak out.
This
is a freaked out movie. Don't think, oh, I'm just gonna bring my little kid to the don't. It's a freaked out movie.
I mean, no, bring your kids.
Education lessons, but also they gonna grow up in this one. They're gonna wonder, why are certain people doing certain things in this film?
But I think Haley did very well with the. I think everyone did really well. I don't even think there was one person. I do know Perlene was kind of throwing me off when she was on that ground. I was like, ooh, I don't know what's going on. But she was feeling the music. She was just feeling the music. So that's what ended up happening. But I think Haley did really well. I was gonna say Pearline, or I'm just gonna call her Pearl. Whenever you didn't want to eat that garlic, I love how people are like, oh, like people obviously, because that reminds me of a movie I liked. It's very old. It's older, I think, than both of us. Mm-hmm. But you've watched it too. I forced him to watch it. It was called The Faculty, and they had the same thing, but it was with salt. And then like if they didn't want to take it, they were just like, something's wrong with you, like, because basically that's how you would figure out like if they were an alien. So the fact that she didn't want to do the garlic because she didn't like the taste of it. But I do also realize the whole point of her was to show lust, because wasn't she supposed to be married, but then you're sleeping with this high-key child.
Sinful were all sinners.
So yeah,
we're just the ones passing judgment.
That's why I'm just like, Pearline, what's going on? But like I said, it was so funny because I was happy whenever, I don't know if it was Smoke or Stack, but it was just like when he raised that gun, he said, you're going to eat it. Because it's like, girl, we will throw you out. Girl, and it's like, do you want to be thrown outside? Do you want to see some garlic? Like, which one is it? And like, but I did like how like it didn't end up being like a false out. Because I was like, oh, like how would they know? Like I was like, because right when they did it, I was thinking to myself, well, what happens if one of them is one right now and they're just really like they're really good at hiding it or something? Because it's not like they all have to be, but you can tell it in their eyes. But I was just happy at the fact that like I said, she was goofy about it whenever she was trying to eat it, but I was just like, girl, you would have been killed. I was like, honestly, if there were more people there, they would have just shot you. They'd have been like, girl, no one cares about if you don't like garlic or not. It's like, girl, you're gonna eat it to show that you're worth being pretty much you're worth being alive right now. And then they're like I said, when they shot Cornbread, I really like that. I really like that part whenever like Cornbread was about to buy his arm because he was giving him his money, because he's like, oh, like, can I have the money? And I liked how he put his arm up, because he couldn't even, like, they are so like they cannot be invited into places to where it's like even if you put your arm all the way out, like probably something would have happened to him. But he was just like, oh, can I get paid? And he kept it right by him because obviously he was right by the store. But it was funny. They're like, your big self has been coming in and out this whole time, so why are you asking
hilarious
now?
Scene, like hilarious.
It's like, bring your big ass in here now. And then he was just like, okay, well, let me in, you know, like, are you gonna invite me in? They're like, no. And I'm happy that the lady, Annie, she knew like what was going on, because like they had to have someone in there. And I do like how they showed that too, because a lot of people will see like Annie, which a lot of people already have whenever like it's a lot of conservative Christians that are like posing it as like Annie's a witch and she has all this, but it's like Annie also reminds me of like the Native Americans, because it's like they use herbs, they use natural things and natural beings to actually like, you know, see the way through life and seeing how things turn out. So I did like that. And I also liked how with each person with their relationships, they didn't harp on it too much. They did have like the sexual aspects of it. They did have, you know, the freaked out moments, you know, but ultimately I liked how they didn't go too far into it to where it's like they showed everyone in their connection to each other, but it wasn't like, oh, this is like turning into a porno, or oh, like there's so much nudity. And I like that, because people that like horror movies, you know, like nudity is so big on them to where it's just like, okay,
it goes hand in hand.
It's like, yeah,
like you kind of need to see people exposed, like in this movie, to not see a woman's breast at all. Like, yes, we did have alluding to, okay, like people are eating, let's just put it like that, like just eating, like that for some reason that was the big thing, is like people like to eat in the film, you know, if you know, if you don't, you don't. But that was the thing. But it's not like we saw people's clothes being completely ripped off and we have
people were naked,
you know, and that'd be easy to play onto and to put into the film, but it's not necessary because we have a bigger story to tell. So it's kind of just like,
but it's like, but I did like how he like at least showed their relationships. But back to your original question, Haley did good. Miss Chow, she did good. Me and my sister had a little discourse on this, but I was just like, like I said, I will say this, like, I understand why they had Grace say what she said whenever she said, let them all in here. Because like I said, y'all, they have to be invited. But
she let them all in.
It was a selfish act for her to do that, because she wasn't thinking about others. She was just thinking about herself and like how she wanted her husband back. But it's like, ultimately, I understand why she did that. Not just in the terms of the movie, just solely in terms of the movie. I understand that, because she's like, what am I supposed to do? I liked how she said that. What am I supposed to do? Wait until the morning and kill my entire family? Like, this man knows everything. He was speaking to her in their native tongue and everything. So it's just like, what happens if he does? Like, that would be an easy way to get me out. Like, what happens if my daughter is gone? Or like, what happens if she's missing? How do I know? What if my daughter kills me in the middle of the night tomorrow? Like, you know, what are we waiting for? But I did like how they showed them also, how it's like whenever she did drive the stake through his heart, she was like, oh, I'm willing to die over this, because like she was willing to die to protect her child and also to let her husband be free, which I feel like a lot of people couldn't do. I honestly thought Annie, I don't know if she was with Smoke or Stack, but Annie, I thought
she was with Smoke, because now we know Stack.
Smoke, okay.
Now we know Stack is the red one who actually turned into a vampire. Smoke's the blue one who's
okay. So Smoke, it's like I honestly didn't think, I was hoping Smoke would be able to get rid of Annie, because like I said, y'all, she's a spiritual being. She's like, don't let me turn into that, like don't keep me here for your own selfish reasons, because it's so easy to just be like, no, just become one of us, assimilate, like just do whatever's easiest. Because I know like Mary and Stack, they that's what they were like, no, we can all be together, we can just all be a family, like we can live forever, we can, you know, stay young,
we don't have inhibitions, we don't have to worry about any of the plights of the world, aging. Really.
Yeah, so it's like I'm happy that Smoke was able to inevitably kill Annie, those big boobs.
Yeah,
he was able to,
and go and see his kid, because at the end of the day, I mean, they did lose a child in the real world, and so for him to be able to see his kid at the end was great. After he pulled off what, in my opinion, was probably one of the most badass sequences, him spraying all the KKK members, because you're trying to take us out and everything. But yeah, like I said, funny, great moments. But yeah, like I said, quick little round of applause for Miles Caton. That's his name. I mean, that's your first role. Like I said, that's your first role. You came across like a seasoned veteran. I was looking up afterwards, how many movies has this dude been in? Oh my God, no. Like, this is his first one. And shout out to the artist. I was about to say, shout out to the artist, her, for telling him you should pursue this. You've got those naturally acting abilities in here. Of course, it does help because you are musically talented, so a lot of this film is you showing off your musical abilities. But he was really, really great at conveying a blessed but troubled soul. Like, you are blessed with this great music ability, but your father is just hammering onto you. Why are you playing that blues music? You know, don't be playing that. Invite the devil in. Unfortunately, it did in more ways than one, but I love how strong he just held on to the guitar, even after all that trauma he went through. It's like, I can't lose my creativity just to appease you, because I'll lose part of myself. And just beautiful
and I won't be fulfilled. And it's like, look at our life now. So it's like, I might as well try to, like, you know, do what is best for me during this time that I have, because it's like, what I'm supposed to do, to stay here, read your Bible, preach a word that, like, you know, I may or may not believe in, and then just be strumming my guitar in the back, like, and no one can hear me or no one can hear it. It's like that's kind of like killing yourself a little bit inside.
Exactly. And then, like I said, of course, Jack O'Connell's Remick, great. He's not just a villain in this film, as Ryan does very well. He's done it with Killmonger. He also did it with Jonathan. I forgot who Jonathan Majors played in the last Creed movie. But like I said, he's good at playing. He's good at writing misunderstood, complex antagonists. Because at surface, of course, even in the advertisements, you can see Jack O'Connell playing Remick and say, "Oh, here's a white guy who's a vampire, and he's just trying to take culture from black people." It's It's deeper than that, because we find out he's Irish, and from his past and what he's been through, being possessed by this force, he's already seen his land kind of be taken away, his culture being taken off. But of course, he's sinister in turning the lifestyles and how vampires live into his own sort of religion, like, and then playing on in what I think is really probably one of the better parts of when he is standing on that other side of the doorway, and he's like, you're already dead in this world. They don't want you to make it in this world. And like, and he's saying that from a place of everything he's seen. It's not like he himself is just this, well, I'm just this racist dude and I just don't like, no, he's like, I want all of us to be together. We don't have to worry about a thing. We can take over this world and make it best for us. And to see him dancing his little high jig, he was getting it, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. That Irish folklore music, he was getting it. But to see Stack and to see even Mr. Chow there, like I said, it's not just a bunch of white people dancing outside to their own music because they're not allowed into this black juke joint. No, it's supernatural entity who's trying to lure you in to make some good justifications, which is the system's already rigged against you. So you might as well get ahead of it now. You can live forever. Don't worry about your inhibitions. They're not even going to be looking at you as this black man. They're going to be looking at you as just a vampire, kind of like that. But what it plays on is your appearance does fall into, unfortunately, the time period of, this is the South and it is the 1930s. So at the end of the day, you are coming for Sammy specifically to not just take him, you're here to take his creativity, his music. Yeah. And at the end of the day, we still see it still to this day, selling your soul to get ahead and whatnot, or, your creativity, losing yourself. So I love that Miles Canton of Sammy, he was really thrown in between these two worlds of like, if I drop the guitar and I just go all the way to the gospel route, I still get to live underneath the word of the Lord, but I'll never truly feel like myself. Mm-hmm. But look at this Remick guy, he can, like, I could live forever and never feel oppressed for really what I look like, but I'll lose that beautiful musical ability I've been blessed with. So I said, nah, I'm gonna do my own thing, and I'm gonna just literally go off and do my own thing. But I love Remick's character because, like I said, from advertisements, it's very easy to see him like that, but it's very dense and complex. And to see Sammy trying to give a prayer in the water as Remick has him, only for Remick to use that same prayer and be like, oh yeah, I've heard this one too. Yeah. It really shows you that it's gonna be controversial, but it shows you that, praying in those rough moments, sometimes they already know the answer to that too. Like it wasn't going to save you in that moment, unfortunately. Like,
just like, Lord, give me strength.
Give me strength. It's like it challenges a lot of ideals. Like I said, you're probably sitting here wondering, like, that's a lot that y'all were just saying, and it's all over the place, but it's done so well that by that time
it's really not all over the place. It is pretty linear in terms of what's going on, because like I said, it develops very well throughout the entire story, and it shows everything well as like, also it's not like, oh, we're having this with that and then like going back to that and then coming back to this. It's like, no, like everything, of course there are callbacks and things like that, but ultimately it's very like I said, I think everyone did very well with their acting. And I did love that part about the Native Americans, because they are people that have warned people of these bad spirits,
many times,
of these things. And guess what? They're looked upon as being demonic, devilish, and like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, crazy. And then it's like, oh, it's just because you don't have a lot of some races don't feel like the knowledge that others have is like, because they don't have it, it's like, oh, that can't be real. Like, you're just crazy, or like, always, undermine people.
Fear of the unknown. And I really do think that it plays on well of that. I already said it before, but just going back so I can harp on it again, of Smokestack's and Annie's conversation when the juke joint was happening, for Stack to be the one that's like, hey, just let these guys, let us as people have fun in here. But Smoke being the one that, like I said, he has to be realistic as well. He's like, we don't have enough to make it by this way. But like you said, that's because we aren't even paid enough. So it really does feel like the game really is rigged against us. So like I said, it's really done well in this part to show you just how hard you have to work to make it by, to get by, just to give something back to people. But ultimately, everyone is a sinner. They have their reasons for doing this, for even being together. They know that what they're not doing is the most upwards of the holiest of things, but also it's like, you're going to do what's best for yourself to have the best time that you can have while you're here. And of course, why didn't Sammy want to take that deal and be with Remick? Because it'd be pretty good. He could, like I said, not only was he lose his musical ability, but as we found out, as he gets older later on in the film, and like the ending sequence, he's like, I've been here long enough, like I know what everything is. But he got to live his life through his music the way he wanted to. And ultimately, it's a really great lesson to, like, do what's selfishly. Yeah. Do what you want to do. Do what's best for yourself, but find that creative outlet for you and live it fully, and don't let anyone, steer or take you otherwise. And I do like,
don't let anyone take away your ambitions.
Exactly, and your dreams and what you really want to go after.
As long as you're not harming others.
Exactly, and I love that Sammy's dream, or Sammy's band that he had later on in life. He named it Pauline after his first love. Even though, like you said, she was a married woman. She was a married woman, but like I said, they were sinning in there. But like I said, beautiful stuff. We can talk about it all day. Really great film. Can't tell you how much you need to watch this movie. And once again, to harp onto it, I'm gonna be mad at you if you watch this on your phone. I'm gonna be mad at you if I catch you watching this on your laptop in some busted up earphones. You gotta watch this in theaters. Like, the experience is
that's all people got.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying. If you can find a way into a theater, even if you gotta watch it like a $5 movie theater weeks after it's been out, go. So the reason why is because this is an original story written by a amazing director who happens to be African American. And I'm not gonna be like, oh, it's a great black director. No. Yeah. It's a great director who brought together an outstanding cast for a great time. You're really going to enjoy it, like I said, but the reason why I need to see it in theaters is because of how beautifully it is shot. The cinematography is great. The aspect ratios change a lot. The scenes get a lot more wider when it's just the people, and it feels more personal. But when we see things like the cotton field, it feels like it goes on. It's shot as if it's going on forever. Like, it feels like you are seeing forever. Like I said, it's a really beautiful film. Definitely one that I'd love to watch again. Just to be able, like I said, and get that theater experience, because the sound is amazing. You can really hear everything that's going on in the film. Now, before we wrap everything up, if there are no flaws I see with this film. However, I can understand why maybe some people are like, the pacing of when we got introduced to the vampires, some people would probably want it to get quicker to the action. But like I said, I like that it took its time of a build-up to, let's play around with the old tropes of the vampires, and then let's have Grace let them in so that when they do fight them, it's a very quick, it's not like they fight for 20 minutes now. It's 30-something vampires against probably like, what, 6 people? Yeah, you do that math with what you will. It doesn't work out very, very, very quickly. So, but you do feel bad for the people when they do end up.
And I feel like a lot of movies, because we just told you guys about the last movie we had reviewed, like how there was no development. We don't care. Like, there wasn't enough care for us to like actually. To actually feel anything whenever something was going wrong or something was going right. We don't have enough care, but I liked how they showed these people, like showing everyone's kind of, not necessarily all their backgrounds, but just showing who they are and like, you know, what they're supposed to be portraying right now. Not portraying, but it's like, I appreciated that, because it's like, oh, like everyone is holding their own and showing what it is, honestly, to be a sinner. Like, because all of them were different aspects of like, you know, the 7 deadly sins anyway. So I liked how they incorporate that, and I liked how they showed everyone and like, you know, what they did. I appreciate also, one of the other parts I liked was at the very beginning. It was once again, I don't know, I think it's Smoke. Ooh, whichever
was he
one
wearing red? Was he wearing red or blue? I don't know.
It was the one that was. You
keep describing. Keep describing. Yeah.
It was whenever he was showing. He was like, oh, have you ever heard of the what is their last name? What are their twins? But anyway, he was like, have you ever heard of the blank twins? Whatever their last name is. Oh. And then the little girl was getting scared because she was like, oh my gosh. Like,
that was Smoke. That one was Smoke.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought.
He was in the blue. Yeah.
Because like because the other one, the red one, was always with Preacher Boy.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, whenever he was showing the little girl like the game, like, hey, you want to do something for me? You want to do like a quick favor for me? Wasn't anything weird about it at all. He was just like, hey, just let me know if anyone, you know, comes in here and, you know, messes with my car. Just sit in here and just, you know, honk the horn. I'll show you. And then she was just happy to get 10 cents. Like I said, we don't get paid that much. This is way back when. And so he's like, no, don't ever take like the first deal, you know, try to show it, like try to negotiate, and you know, that'll get you farther in life. Don't always take like, you know, the first
offer that's thrown
don't
to
take
you.
That, because it'll always undermine you, and you're worth more than that. So I liked how he was showing her that, and it was a very easy, quick scene to show that. And then of course she did what she was supposed to do, and like told him whenever other people were trying to come and take away from him. But I liked how they did that with her, because I was just like, oh, good, like that's what I was like, because it was nice for him to show her how to do that, because if we don't show each other, no one was going to show us, because they want us to be, because they don't want us to be smarter, they don't want us to
teach each other how to get ahead.
And then we saw with Miss Chow Grace, we saw how whenever he was asking her, hey, can you paint this flag or whatever, because he knew her artistry and stuff.
Yeah, the sign.
And so how she was quick to be like, oh no, like, and they went back and forth and did the negotiation with what he just showed the little girl to do. So it was nice to see that, because like they already knew how to do that. They already know how to kind of hustle. Like, they are hustlers. Yeah. So it's like, not in a bad sense, but like they're hustle. Like, they know, she knows what she's worth, and she knows she can get more out of him. So it was nice to see that. And then after he had just showed a younger, like, you know, a younger black girl how to do that as well. So I like that part a lot, because it was just like I said, if we don't show each other, no one's going to show us. But they knew how to do it already. Like,
exactly. And it showed, and she was a very hardworking woman, Grace Chow. I mean, you could tell she kept that community alive by how much she was probably painting all the signs up in there, doing a lot of the work in her own store as well. So I really do appreciate, like I said, just how wonderful the actual film was. It had its comedy beats, it had its horror, felt like an adventure, it felt like we're being introduced to a brand new world. And if there is never another film that is made from this franchise, it is already iconic in its own right, just for what it is. Like, it doesn't need a sequel or anything like that, but it's one of those we walked away from like, this is a world that I wouldn't mind stepping into. Like I said, we would love to see that. I'd love to see the film of just show us the Native Americans hunting these vampires. Like I said, that's really cool. Like, that's awesome. That's fantastic. Mm-hmm. And like I said, there's just so much to play on. But let's go ahead and get into the rating of this, guys. You already know. You already know. Chris, tell us what the hell we gave this film. Please let the people know what we gave this film when we walked out of it.
We gave it an S for Sexy Sinners.
For Sexy Sinners, yes. There's no way it wasn't an S. This is the embodiment of a film that, like I said, very rewarding of a theater experience, very rewarding to learn something from.
And it did what movies don't do anymore. It told a story.
Exactly.
Which a lot of them don't. It's just reiterating what we already know, or just trying to
capitalize
show it
on money and whatnot. Yeah, this felt like an original idea from
someone sat down and got that pen wet.
Exactly. The pen was indeed wet. That's crazy. The pen was indeed flaming when he was on the paper thinking about what to do. And like we said with Ryan,
delete.
Mm-hmm, and like we said with Ryan, we already know he was a great director. But this catapults you into a stratosphere of, like, when we see your name on movies, we know you're going to show up. Like, we know you put your heart and your soul into this. Just a kid from Compton, like we said. And shout out to the people who were trying to destroy that Variety article. That was, for some reason, this film was made with $90 million, and that Variety article wanted to make it sound like, oh, we need to see, but profitability is a ways away. Well, this film has the least amount of a drop between a week when it came to 1 week to the next. It's making a lot of money, and it needs to, because these are films that need to make its money so that we can see way more of an educational sense.
And the reason why I said that's why I said, no, bring your kids here to learn, because there's a lot of things that are being taken away out of school, and it's like, no, show them the truth. The truth always comes to the light regardless.
Can't hide it.
So it's like, it's good to show, different, because like I said, this does it very well without brutalizing us to a certain extent, to where it's like, this is another 12 Years a Slave movie, which 12 Years a Slave was a phenomenal movie, but it is, like I said, it's brutal. It's what was going on. So I liked how they showed it, but they showed it in a different aspect, but it was still telling you what was actually going on, but it didn't have to show everything in like a horrible light, or like I said, in a brutalizing way.
Yeah.
So that's why I said, take your kids, let them learn something, let them ask you questions after it, let them be inquisitive about it, because you can learn so many different aspects and different cultures just from this one film alone.
And it's entertaining. That's the great thing. It's absolutely entertaining. Like you said, I'll say in a different sense, what's done in the dark is always going to find a way to shine. And there's a lot of stuff in our history that's been done in the dark, and I'm glad that we have people who are willing to put their pen to paper to tell amazing stories so that we are never forgotten in the annals of history. And if that means putting it on the screen in a very entertaining way that brings people from all different cultures to be able to watch a film like this, that's what we need to do. And like we said, shout out again, because we know he's going to be able to own this film forever, which means, well, like I said, that's huge for our community and our people, for what we need. But anyways, gave it an S. Hope you guys loved our review of Sinners. Like we said, absolutely loved it. Go see the film, and
buy it too.
And buy it too. Yeah, this is one that I'm not gonna lie to you. Make sure you have this piece of media on DVD.
No, I was just about to say I would love to have it on DVD, but like, they don't even make DVD players no more.
But they are gonna, yeah.
I gave mine away, so.
But yeah,
they don't even make
but
them.
Yeah, like I said, if you can't afford it in the theaters, but you want a good experience with it, wait for it on the streaming services.
Let's see who gets it.
Let's see who gets it on the streaming services, because once that hits streaming, run it up, because we definitely will.
Netflix, you're not getting it. I promise you're not getting it.
You got your hands full with Stranger Things and all that. You can let Sinners. Yeah, no.
Because guys, I want to let you know, because we'll probably end up alluding to this further as we do these report cards. Every movie that we watch ends up being on Netflix the next week. Like every single movie we watch.
That is crazy. Yeah, it does.
It's happened to every movie well, of course not this one, but it has happened to every movie we have seen. The next week it'll be on Netflix, and it's very alarming, because it's like, wow, like we went and spent money to go see it, and it's like, oh,
yeah,
but
it's, like I said, worthwhile to spend your money to see it in theaters. You won't be disappointed. And to the people who gave the rotten reviews on the Rotten Tomatoes and kept this from being 100,
you're a hater.
You're a hater. You're a hater. I'm just being real. There's no way you can walk out this film and not say at least,
unless you don't like knowing the truth. That's it. Unless you don't like knowing the truth. That's it. Or unless you feel attacked, because a lot of people that can't take accountability, they usually feel attacked.
Yeah.
So.
Because when this came out with 100, I told you it came out with 100, and you're like, oh, and I'm like, that's bold to come out with an 100, and it deserves every amazing rating that it did. The A+ on the Cinema Score for a horror movie, first time in 35 years, deserves it. It deserves all the praise that it gets. Go watch Sinners. That's all our thoughts on it. As always, it's been Chris and Zay. As always,
like, comment, and subscribe.
And we will see you guys next time.